Hello, hello. Buenas.
Buenas,
¿Cómo
buenas.
estás?
Bien, cariño. ¿Cómo estás tú?
Muy bien. I am super
Excelente.
excited about the Chancleta Generation Podcast of today. Hello, hello. Hola, mis amores. So, welcome back. And here we are with part 2 of episode Why Do Things Feel So Hard Sometimes? We hope you enjoyed part 1. Here we go with part 2. And we're going to get a lot more personal in this one. So hang on. We're there for you.
Thank you for holding this space and for coming back. It's always wonderful. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know. You know, we have this collective trauma that has made us just be like in fight or flight all the time. And so there's we're coming from a place of hurt when this is thrown at us. But that is, you know, I think at this moment when, you know, as a society, we have, you know, gotten to a place where those things are starting to give. And people are experiencing a lot more mental health issues. And like people need a lot more healing if we want to move forward, because the survival mode is not working for us anymore. And it's like we are, you know, there's a point in which, like, and then we can talk about this in another episode, but like our sense of trauma has led us to be oppressed and feeling oppressed. And so this is kind of like, if we want anything better for us, we have to come out of that survival mode. And that also means that we have to start doing more things for us. And there is, and you know, again, you know, many people are probably saying like, well, this is a bunch of BS, because like, how are you gonna like survive on, or how are you gonna make a living out of things that you love to do? And I'm telling you, I make a living out of something that I love to do. And I had to go through many years of making money out of something I didn't like to do, and it broke me. And I actually I make more money out of things that I love to do now than before, because those doors are open for me more. And so it's like it's kind of counterintuitive. You think that, you know, you become like a lawyer, doctor, engineer, you're gonna be successful, but you might not, because that door is not open for you. That door is not meant for you. Maybe you're meant for something else. And maybe also, like, money, like you said, Ceci, money is not the driver for you.
Well,
it's like you can make a living. You don't need to become a millionaire. You can make a living, but you can also help others, and you can find other ways to be enriched, right?
And I think that obviously that is a privilege. I think I've healed my relationship with money. I think that I really resonate with this idea. Like, I had a job since I was very young, probably 15, which is not very traditional in Guatemala, opposite of here when children have kind of jobs. I had a trabajo de vacacionista. I used to wrap gifts in this wonderful store. I'm very good at wrapping gifts. That was something that was a fun thing.
I'm terrible at wrapping gifts.
That was a thing.
Now I know for the next holiday I'm gonna ask you.
Oh, listen, we did like great. Like, I learned so much. Like, big, like, this store was known in Guatemala for like having like kind of like, you will go, you do your shopping, and then they will wrap your gifts. So you will leave this store with all your stuff wrapped, right? And we were gift wrappers. And that is not you stand on your feet all day long, but like, it was fun. It was with a bunch of other young kids and stuff, right? And I signed off my first check to my family because it was needed. And a lot of my friends who worked in that store that summer, that was their money for the year. Like, and I had money, and but I did I kept a job during the weekends, one day of the week, as I went into my junior and senior year. And that gave me freedom, gave me the ability to not have to ask my parents with money, which gave me a lot of like, I didn't want to feel like una carga, which I wasn't. My mom never actually, she was a provider, and I had everything I needed. My needs were covered. But if I wanted anything extra, I didn't want to have to be like, I didn't want her to feel bad for not being able to give it to me. And she could not always give it to me. She tried, but she couldn't always. And I felt like, sure, they gave me power. And I think for me, it just became this idea in which I like, if I can have my own money, I don't have to depend on anyone else. Which, of course, is liberating. But then it's also disconnecting. I am able to do the things and to aspire to do things because I have a partner that tells me, don't worry, we together will figure it out. Don't worry, I want to see you happy. If we have to adjust, have less, spend less, don't eat out, like whatever things we need to do, we will do. We will we will work together to figure it out. We can talk about money and how we're going to spend our money. So there is that part that is a privilege to have someone who is doing that with me, in a sense that allows me to rethink. And I have a big sense of responsibility with my family and being like, I cannot just don't walk away from my work. We have bills. There's, But also, I know that if I really wanted to, like at some point didn't want to do something, it's an option, which is, as you say, it is a privilege, it is an honor, but it's also something that we have worked for a long time to put ourselves in that position. Yeah. I don't think it was given to us. We had certain skills given to us, and we were able to, over time, pay out debt, organize ourselves in certain ways. And for me, in particularly, as I said, money is not the driver. I do want a dignified life. I want my work to give me the ability to enjoy rest, to have health, to have days off, to pay for a vacation. I want that. I want that for every member of my community. I want it for everyone.
Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't, I don't want to say like, money doesn't matter, but money is not the beyond end all. One. And then two, being happy and doing the things that you love, it's not what the system wants us to do. They want us to stay in a structure that was created for us, in which we are a little wheel in a cog that is forever, like a little hamster running in this like a never-ending circle.
We're fueling the machine.
Because that's the only way that machine is going to keep working. When we get out of that structure and say, I'm going to find a way to make money doing something that I love doing, obviously, you're probably going to disappoint your parents very much. I know I did. I know I disappointed my parents for a little bit. And then later on, years later, they were like, you know what? You were right. Which, not everyone has that, it was like a huge weight taking out my shoulders, because like I was so determined to prove them wrong. I was like, I am gonna make money doing something I love, and you're gonna see that I can. But at the same time, it's almost like, it's like almost like taking that red pill. In the Matrix, you come out of the Matrix. You're not this little hamster running forever, feeling unhappy and feeling exploited and feeling oppressed all the time, because most of the things that, and obviously there's, many things that make many people happy, different people, and everything is very unique to each person. But some of the things that, make us happy is helping other people. Yeah. I mean, at least it makes me, that makes me really happy. And this is why I do this podcast. This is why you and me do this podcast, right? And you know how you heard, like, on the other side of addiction is connection. It's the same thing. It's like in the other side of unhappiness, of like burnout, of like there's so many things, connecting with others, and to me, and you mentioned this, Ceci, like being of service. In the system doesn't want us to do that, because that means that we're taking other people out of the matrix. And so it's like,
No, absolutely. And I think, it's not just that, like, in the Matrix, the humans are connected to the Matrix because they're the battery, right? So it's the same concept. Like, we are the cogs that make the machine run. And if you take yourself out of the system, the process, or like, and it's not like it's easy, because we all operate with these capitals, structures, systems. I use money, I earn money, so. But the thing is it gonna be the thing that motivates you, or are you gonna use it as a tool to live your life in to your best life? And if you think of other systems, and it tells you, when you are exhausted all the time, you cannot really organize, you cannot really think of, bring your ideas, your creativity, your best potential to imagine a life or future that doesn't exist. Or also, for many years, communities that had a lot less resources had to pool their resources. You had to work in cooperativas, you had to work in, like, I remember in Guatemala, farmers do this deal called mingas. I think they do them in Colombia too. Like, if it's time to cosech, to harvest, everyone goes and harvests this land, and then everyone goes and harvests that plot of land. So if someone doesn't have to have the money to pay a bunch of workers to come harvest, you collect with your neighbors, and you said, like, we're all gonna go and we're gonna harvest you, we're gonna harvest mine, we're gonna harvest that one, and you harvest all of them, and you share resources. Or for many years, like, daycare, at least in Guatemala, was something that we help each other with neighbors. I know sometimes my mom will be like, I'll go to work, or I will late to work, and I don't feel worried because my neighbor is out. I'll call my neighbor and she'll be like, don't worry, I'll feed the kids, and they'll just come and get us and be like, or your tias, or like a bunch of people that we call tias, that we're not our tias, we're just part of the neighborhood and vecindario, right? So like, we have done, I don't know, people used to save in Guatemala, and this other thing have this thing called Cuchubal, and it's kind of like a social club, but you say, like, this year we're gonna save $1,000, so you get 10 people and everyone puts $100 every month, and each person gets the $1,000 each month. So you save, you pay, but it's like every month you get together, you have a dinner, you bring your money, someone walks out of there with $1,000. And those were things in which that allowed you collect. So you have faith in your community. If you are the last person to receive the 1,000, you don't hesitate every month to come and put your 100 and think like, man, when it's my turn, everyone is going to run away. A lot of those networks are grounded in trust and solidarity and loyalty and community. And we have that. We have run our societies like that for generations. And these systems wants us to forget that there is that other sense options.
Of community. Yeah.
And you know what you're saying, this
by dividing us by classes, by races, by genders, by so many different ways to divide us, and we definitely have forgotten. I mean, the US, and this is many Latinos as todas, es un país muy solo. It's a very lonely country, and as coming here, we're just like feeling very alone, and that we need to change that. And by not only by like bringing back the sense of community, but also the way to bring back that sense of community is by enjoying helping others, and enjoying helping others is something very easy because it is in our nature to do that. It's just not many people have practiced it. So it's like, everybody...
But it's hardwired in our DNA. The societies that survived evolution were the ones that could collaborate.
Yeah.
We are.
But I mean, like when I was a kid, I remember I was going to a, Catholic school, and one of the things that we had to do when we turned a certain age was to go and teach religion, catechismo, catechism to like lower income communities. And when we all went over there, I realized that the kids didn't even know how to read or write. So I didn't even like do the whole religion thing. I was teaching them how to read and write every day that I did that. And I was 11. But every day that I did that, I came back with this like awesome sense of purpose. And like those kids love me and I love them back. And it was just like such a really cool feeling. But it's like, I would have never been able to experience that had I not been kind of forced into it, like this is something that we had to do for credit to pass a class. So if we're living in this completely individualistic society, we're never going to experience how awesome it feels to be of service to others. And so, sometimes, really finding out in their heart of hearts what it is that you love doing, you'll find that some of that has to do with service. And so it's even if it's like a side hustle or whatever, just something, it will definitely make things feel less hard, and it will help make things flow a little bit better, and you won't feel like you're this like a never-ending hamster race.
And also, for every person who begins a healing path or to heal some of that trauma or generational trauma, for every person who focuses on getting their light a little bit brighter, you become a source for life for others. So like that is what begins that collective healing. Like the collective will only heal if the individuals heal. So we have to pay attention to to our mental health. These conversations that say, I have felt the same way that you have felt. I have you felt. I've failed miserably like you have failed miserably, and you're just gonna be like, but here we are because we're resilient, and I wish we didn't have to be so resilient, that the environment wasn't so hostile. But we are, and I hope that by doing some of my work, the generations behind us find an environment a little bit more amenable, much more suitable for them to grow and thrive without having to resist and persist. And it's like I feel like my conclusion, the conclusion that I've gathered is that we are never gonna beat the system playing the system. We have to get out of that system. We have to we have to start doing something different from what they want us to do. We have to get out of the structure in order for us to create something better. We cannot play the system. In the wise words of Audre Lorde, the master's tools will not dismantle the master's house. We cannot play a game that is rigged against us.
Yeah, we have to get out of the matrix. Yeah, exactly.
I love that trilogy.
I know, and it's so symbolic of so many things, but it's like,
it is
we have to start doing something different, and we have to think differently, and sometimes, hey guys, like I know from our experience, it's a lonely road sometimes, thinking different from your family, thinking different from your neighbors, from your friends, but it does help to talk about it. Even if it feels lonely, it really helps to talk about it, because maybe at some point somebody will feel the same way, and you can share that with them.
what we have to say is important, and it is un bálsamo. I think that sharing experience or showing vulnerability and compartir experiencias feels reconfortante because you realize that you have a lot in common with that other person. And I think we covered a little bit of this in one of our initial episodes about like, differences of opinions or other episodes, but like you will find out that you have a lot more in common than you have different.
Yeah. You definitely have both that trauma in the collective consciousness. And we can start there. Because that is definitely something that we all have it. I've talked to way too many people to know that they do, because I'm that kind of crazy person that's just like start talking about like really deep stuff to people. I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about your collective trauma?
You're like, can we heal? Let's meditate together.
Do you start talking about healing your collective trauma?
You're like,
I'm that kind of crazy person that does it.
You're crazy good. That's what you are. Crazy good.
Yeah, so I just love talking about these kinds of things, and then people kind of start opening up and saying, "Hey, you know what? Yeah." So let's get out of that like mentality that is like, oh, I don't want to talk about woo-woo stuff because that's just like some woke whatever. It's your own mental health. It's your own success. Is your own way of feeling. This is not some like far away thing that some, whatever. This is about yourself and your own happiness. And and also that's how I approached it. It's for myself. I'm doing this for myself. And talking about it with others has been healing to me. Because hearing it from other people's mouths means that I am not crazy, that I am not imagining this, that this is actually true. This is actually true, and it's like it has become more real, and it has become more true to hear it from other people. It feels validating. It also feels validating to think that not everything is because it's you or you haven't done things right. You haven't, worked hard enough, because this is like, as a woman and as a Latina, the solution to everything was you have to work harder. And that was not the answer. The answer was I'm carrying all this baggage. It doesn't matter how hard I try. I'm not getting anywhere until I let go of it.
But letting go, it's an unlearning. It's a process. It might take you your whole life. It might take you some decades. You will see, once you begin the work, you begin to see the results right away. Because action, this is the laws of nature. Every reaction has an equal and opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if the moment you start to move in one direction and do something, the universe, God, the Almighty, the Spirit that creates it all, the Creator, the Source, however you call it, will give it back to you.
Yeah. And with that, I think this is our longest episode yet.
I hope you stay with us. They probably left like half an hour ago. But tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us if you have any thoughts. What do we
if
want?
You think we're full of ish, then tell us.
So we want them to leave us a recommendation, leave us a review.
If you stuck around, then we love you. Thank you for sticking around. And listening to us. I hope that this was actually helpful. I have talked about some things that have felt very scary to talk about in public, but there they are.
They're important. They're important.
Yeah.
So
I think if they're important to somebody out there, then it was all worth it.
Yes.
So get in touch with us and let us know what you think at Chancleta Generation. And we are on Instagram and TikTok there. And then on Twitter, it's Chancleta Gen. If you like the podcast, give us a rating, share it with your friends, and
let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah. Thank you, Ceci, so much for holding space for us to talk about this. And
of course,
you're awesome.
You're awesome too, my
and
love.
You're wise.
I'm not. I don't know about that, but I will take it, and I am gonna say thank you.
Of course. Mwah.